Alright, hello and welcome to what I don't even know if we're calling this a mini one or whatever, but we decided we're doing a SomeCast this week purely for the fact of BlizzCon's coming up and we should get predictions out beforehand. Main one's actually going to be next week. Even though the dots on the screen should give it away, we have myself, Raymond and Luke in here, and there's also Anton, but he doesn't have a microphone at the moment, so he doesn't get a dot. But he's just going to sit in here and
really fucking weirdly.
Yeah, he's just going to sit in here and mull over the fact that StarCraft is the abandoned child of Blizzard.
Before the rumors came out for this BlizzCon, I was going to agree with you. I would disagree with you and say that Diablo is like the abused child of Blizzard, but maybe not.
Well, let's get up with just summarising what has been rumoured. So, anybody that doesn't believe that there's a WoW expansion coming is probably living under a rock at this point, but we've got so many competing rumours and leaks and whatever for what that is. God knows what's actually true and what's false. Odds are most of it is false. But
we have at the moment the main, like the leading horses in this race is, it's either we're going to go kill the god of death, but we have like 6 gods of death in World of Warcraft, so who knows who that's going to be. Bolvar's going to come back, the Lich King. He's going to slap some bitches. Sylvanas becomes the big bad. Any others that I'm missing?
That it's all about dragons.
Oh yeah, dragons. Yeah, that one, Dragon Isle.
So
does some dragon shit.
It's realistically anyone's guess. The ones that are a bit more solid and taking their shape, but also may not actually be true as a whole thing, are, well, let's start with the one that I would have argued was the better contender a couple of days ago of Diablo 4, which there's been just so many little rumours about for so long that I'm absolutely of the belief that it is a real thing in development. Whether or not it's coming at this BlizzCon is probably the biggest question.
I reckon it would be, because Wowhead pulled a couple of screenshots from the Diablo art book that's coming out.
No, it wasn't Wowhead that actually had the leaked one. Somebody else had the leaked one, but Wowhead explained that the version that they got for a review had an awful lot of redacted sections in it.
Yeah, and one of the pages that they took a sneaky of had Lilith, TLDR, Lilith coming back doing Diablo 4 things.
Yeah. That's currently the most solid evidence, but there has been a slow trickle of other bits and pieces over the last year that sort of backs it up. And then the big one that's may basically turn the internet on fire today if you're in the gaming sphere was Overwatch 2 getting a more solid foundation. Now, there's been a few rumours about this one floating around for a while, but it's been given the most credit today, and please note that we are recording on a Monday, by ESPN basically putting themselves against it as another source. Now, there had been a fair few sources for this, but ESPN is now probably adding the most solid backing to it. In saying that, though, at least one of the 3 images associated with the ESPN leak has been debunked as false, so maybe they've been had, but it's odd for ESPN to have gone in on this. Also, Kotaku has now gone in on this twice with 2 different writers, at least one of which has a very strong history of calling these things right. So I think there's some solid credit here. Again, I think the concept of Overwatch 2 is probably real. Whether or not it's coming at this BlizzCon is probably the bigger question.
Yeah, I did hear something in a video quite recently where they were perceiving that a playable episode of the Overwatch 2 may be coming out of BlizzCon, but the actual release for Overwatch 2 wouldn't be until some time after.
I would suspect that there'll be some sort of demo of some kind. It would be odd for them to announce something in saying that, I actually expect that they'll probably announce Diablo 4 without a demo, but I sort of suspect that an Overwatch 2 announcement will come with a demo of some capacity, but I also believe that that's probably going to be a very rough, more concept-y demo than an actual, here is part of the new game.
Yeah, it ultimately comes down to exactly how much of it's been completed at this stage, and we'll know that more once BlizzCon actually has the announcement. Depending on how all the concept and everything looks, we'll know from looking at it whether or not that's something that's okay. That's ready to ship, or nope, that's still got some progress to go.
Yeah. You sort of missed this earlier, Luke, but to catch you up, Raymond and I were talking about this a little bit earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, we ended up like tiering what type of predictions we're going to expect.
Yeah. Raymond and I are having slight disagreement on what the headline announcement would end up being, but it sounds suspiciously like we agree on what the pool of candidates is.
Yeah, like every time it's been a major WoW patch, like 8.0, 7.0, 6.0, they have been the headline, and 9.0 is supposed to be this BlizzCon, unless they're going to stretch out Battle for Azeroth for another year, which they could.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. I don't know where they can go with Battle for Azeroth, unless they're going to wrap up Sylvanas' story with like a surprise 7-4, but that doesn't feel right. But so it should be a 9.0 announcement. By their previous logic, 9.0 should be the headline act, but Cameron believes differently.
I believe, as I was saying earlier, I think there's like a 99% chance that we're getting a next expansion announcement. Because I'm only putting it 1% off because there is a possibility that everybody there has been inhaling chlorine and has just gone batshit crazy. But my suspicion is that WoW is not being considered the headline. And my biggest piece of evidence to this is that for anybody that hasn't looked at the BlizzCon schedule, Blizzard has got 4 announcement blocks. 4 blocks that are currently labelled as coming soon, which basically means big announcement here, but we're not, it's spoilers to put anything else attached to this, lined up.
Just watch it.
Yeah.
It's going to be worth your time, basically.
Lined up on the main stage, one after the other, after the opening ceremony. Now, this is not that uncommon for there to be 1 or 2 of these things. Which, the one immediately after the opening ceremony is traditionally the headline announcement. This is where we previously had WoW expansions. This is where we had Overwatch when it was first announced. Well, sort of first time it was demoed more than announced.
Way back in 2014 or something like
that. Yeah. And, basically that particular block, the one that's immediately after on the main stage, has always been sort of the big headline announcement. Now, they fucked that up hard last year with it being Diablo Immortal. But still, traditionally that is the end goal, and it makes an awful lot of sense. You want to be able to close the opening ceremony with whatever your big thing was, and say, well, we're going to keep talking about this right here in 10 minutes time, but if you don't,
soon.
Yeah, catch you guys soon, sort of thing. Now, the reason I don't believe that one there is WoW is that they actually have another WoW panel on a different stage at that exact same time slot straight after the opening ceremony. And to me, it makes no sense at all for them to have the WoW expansion, main reveal panel that's going to go into detail of it at the same time as another WoW panel. Because that's just trying to cut your same audience in half.
And to that I replied to Cameron, what if they pull a sneaky?
What was your sneaky again?
Sneaky was that that other WoW panel is just their big announcement. They just stream it to both stages.
That's going to annoy the people that wanted to see the other WoW panel.
Yeah, well, it's their loss.
True.
And likewise, using the schedule as evidence, I'm pretty confident in saying that none of the big announcements are anything to do with Hearthstone or Heroes of Storm, because they have panels lined up also on the same day on the secondary stage. So, yeah, I don't have any real belief that it is anything to do with them.
And I am 100% sure they're going to try and take as much attention away from Hearthstone as they can, simply based on how the Hearthstone team royally fucked up a couple of weeks ago with
This
issues with certain
if you don't,
competitive players.
if you're watching this video and don't know what that's about, seriously, go read the internet anywhere.
Blizzard did a whoopsie, so they're going to try. I feel like they're going to try and avoid Hearthstone as a forefront type thing. They might just go, "Hey, look, here's a new expansion. Okay, bye. Go look at something else." And with Heroes of the Storm, well, they kind of aborted that game. They killed the competitive scene. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I really don't feel like either of those games are going to get much of a showing this year, because both of them have got their update panels, basically the panel that's what's next and what you actually expect to happen, on the third stage, i.e. the smallest one, at the same time that something else is on. So, and in contrast, the Overwatch and World of Warcraft update panels, which they're pretty safe putting in because everybody expects something about those games, are on the main stage without anything of particular significance overlapping with it. In fact, there's nothing else that shares the start time
Mark
for those
entered
two.
your channel home on the server.
And hello, Mark.
Hello, Mark.
You have joined. We are currently talking about BlizzCon predictions. I have no idea whether or not I have this set up to put you on screen, but we won't worry about that. Mark is here as well.
I was informed this starts in 10 minutes.
What?
No, I said don't. I said don't join until 9:30. But okay.
Anyway,
Basically, we're figuring out what do you think is going to be the headline act for BlizzCon, and do you think it's going to be good?
No and no.
all right. What about
Haven't
you, Luke?
actually- Personally, looking at it, Diablo 4 is not finished. Overwatch 2 arguably is in the wind, but I've seen more coverage on that than anything else. I'm honestly thinking there's a good chance that Overwatch 2 might be the headliner.
Yeah. I said this to Raymond earlier. I suspect what we'll end up getting is more an acknowledgement that Diablo 4 is coming, and that, yes, one of those announcement blocks will be Diablo 4, but more about the concept of Diablo 4, and that Diablo 4 is not actually close to being released. That it's like, oh yeah, it's coming in like 3 years' time sort of thing. I suspect Overwatch 2 or 2.0 or Chapter 2 or whatever you want to call it is going to be closer, and therefore a little bit more of the focus.
Agreed.
I am also putting like 90-95% odds that the Warcraft 3 part of this is, and the beta's available now, or like the beta's available next week, or something like in the very near future.
Add on to that, I reckon, because they're pretty much done now. There's not too much. There wouldn't be that much work for them to do on that. I reckon they're going to go, also, would you guys like to see our next project? And then they announce Diablo 2 Remaster. Da-da-da.
Look, plot twist. What if they renew some old IP and make a racing car game?
Did Blizzard ever make a racing game?
Pretty sure like their
Yeah.
first ever project was they remade a racing game on like the Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Blizzard stepping in to try and dominate yet another genre.
And
Take over Need for Speed.
That's an interesting competition there. Any other thoughts and predictions, Luke?
No, not really. That's pretty much the extent of what I've heard myself through my own grapevine. I haven't heard anything else. But to be fair, I also haven't showed a huge amount of interest outside of those two topics. But yeah, that's sort of where my opinion stands. I haven't really heard of anything else being as much of a hype as what Overwatch 2 and the partial leaks on Diablo 4 have been. So those to me are going to be the two major ones, and whatever else falls in there is probably the stuff that I haven't really paid a huge amount of attention to.
I was reading the Diablo Reddit, and they are so scared. They are. They're worried that it's going to be just another burn to add to their wound after Diablo Immortal.
Well, it could
What
be.
could
to
be
be
worse
honest.
than a mobile game, though?
Look.
3 mobile games!
Yes!
Augmented reality game.
Oh, look.
No, Google Cardboard game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Don't you guys?
Fuck
Don't
yeah.
you guys all have what do you call them?
Cardboard boxes?
Yeah, no. Haven't
Don't
you
you
guys
have
played
hands?
board games?
Don't you guys have those?
Diablo Monopoly.
That's the headline act.
Haven't you guys all played board games before? Oh, yes, we have.
Like, the announcement trailer is like, have you passed go? Diablo steps onto the screen. No money for you!
No. It's a
Fire
Diablo.
explosion.
It's a Diablo expansion for Hearthstone.
Don't. No, thank you.
You touch a nerve there, Kevin.
I don't want it.
The
I-
two
I-
things that could
I
kill
completely-
Blizzard.
I completely gave up on Hearthstone when they moved away from doing lore-related Hearthstone to World of Warcraft. I mean, the amount of money it cost to have a deck was also ridiculous as fuck. But that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Was no lore for World of Warcraft. So it's like, cool, peace, bye. I really don't want them to do that Diablo. No thanks, I'm good.
Well,
Please, no.
let's hope that they don't.
Well, that was the big one, unless somebody else wants to jump in with BlizzCon predictions.
That's pretty much the extent for me.
Yeah.
We'll open up the floor quickly for if there's any other things that people want to talk about before we wrap this short one up and catch you all next week.
What about a Diablo fighting game, like a Street Fighter remake?
Can we not, please?
I
Please
mean,
no.
considering how much that those sort of ones have been dying in the arse lately, I don't think anyone wants to touch that genre just right now.
A Diablo version of Super Smash Bros. With 8 characters.
No, I mean it's a good way to get ruffle stomped by the competition.
Just piss the money away.
What the fuck is Deckard Cain gonna do in that?
Put you to sleep.
What about do it?
Most of those games like have people doing sick flips and shit. He's like 1,000 years old or some bullshit. He'll put his back out.
Alright. Well, sounds like we've exhausted our crazy ideas on BlizzCon for now. Let's see what the real thing is. And we will catch everybody that may or may not watch this on the other side of BlizzCon, when we actually know what's happening.
See you all then.
Bye.
And Raymond, play the harmonica out. Okay, that's enough.